Episode 1, Maybach Conversations with my boy, Amel Kilich. How we doing, brother?
Good, bro. It's good to see you, man.
Dude,
a long time.
I love you, man.
Same, bro.
We connected. We were
The
just
four
remember,
brothers.
We were randomly on IG. We connected in the gym.
Yep.
Yeah, we
I
shared
used
the
to see you
office
at the gym, and I'm like, bro, who's this freaking Latin American bro coming with the long hair, looking like a chopper, bro?
That's it. But look, episode 1, I'm going to be doing some of this content. We're in the Maybach. Shout out to Energetic Exotics, my partners. And the purpose of the conversation, Amal, is that I think that when people see you and they see the brand and then they see the successful company and they see the flash, I think you're getting to know you much deeper than that, right? So I'm not gonna ask you about Gentech, right? Like you're a marketer, like just Google Gentech, hit them up. But what I wanna say is, like, where's this headed, man? Like, what is the culminating moment for you? Where is Gentech going? Where is Amel headed?
And the thing is, like, I don't know where Gentech is headed, man. It's a vehicle to me, right? But like, I'm the driver, so like, where am I headed? Because a lot of times, like, you let your company control you, but you're in control. You create a company so that you stay in control. There's a lot of like pieces of wealth that I wanted to check off in my life, which was the biggest one was the financial, and then I wanted time to do whatever I want. If I want to spend the whole day with my daughter, I can do it. And I feel like I checked that off as well. And then came the health wealth, where it's like, all right, I want to stay fit. I want to make sure that when I'm 80, I can still walk. All right, check. I feel like I'm on the right process there. But then it's like, all right, what's going on with my social wealth, right? And we're friends. Like, we kind of see each other here and there, but it's like we're all busy. And the reason I decided to move back to Bosnia is to check that off, at least for now, in this season of my life, where I can invest more time into my family, into my personal like love relationships with my wife and so forth. So that's where I'm headed, man. Gentech better be the vehicle and better not break down.
Amen. And so I love what you just said, right? And I want to dive a little bit deeper into you're going back to Boston, right? And you don't hear that often, right? Like, you hear people, they come to the United States and they stay here, but something happened where you came here, you got success, right? You have a company, you pivoted from nursing, you got staff. Shout out to your co-founder, Christian. We're gonna get you on this also. What happened to you when you went back on vacation and then you came back and you're like, I'm moving to Bosnia?
I mean, I used to go to Bosnia every summer with my mom, and then that kind of continued with my girl and then with my daughter for the first time last year. And the biggest motivator was like me looking out in 30, 40, 50, 60 years, I don't know how long I'm going to live, and asking myself, where do I want to be? And what does my life look like at that point of my life? And one thing I realized is staying here, the only thing that's going to get bigger is probably like the house, the car, the money. But I don't see anything else changing in my life here. And I feel like the environment here in the US is the way it is, and it's like, it's not gonna be a social environment ever. Like, they don't prioritize family here, they prioritize wealth and status, which is fine, right? There needs to be a balance in everything. But like, I asked myself, where do I wanna be? And that answer led me to Bosnia, because especially even raising my kids here, well, the one kid I have right now, I just don't see a nice future for them. Like, no one's playing the playgrounds. Like, there's no childhood. I didn't have a childhood because I had to escape war, and I kind of grew up here. But like, I don't want that for my kids, because I think at the end of the day, like, social skills are very important. And I look at the kids with my friends. Their kids are maybe 2 or 5 or 6, and bro, they're glued to their tablets, their laptops, their phones, and I'm just worried about that. So I was like, let me change my full environment.
And so you said something is like, the only thing that's gonna change here is I'm gonna have a bigger house, nicer car, more money. Was there a defining moment for you where it clicked and and it's like, this is not what I want. I can get that. Was there a moment, or was it a series of moments?
You know, we always set goals, but we never set anti-goals. Anti-goals are things that you're not willing to lose while you're chasing your goal. And
That's a gem. Say that again.
we set goals, but we don't set anti-goals.
Wow, I've never heard that.
Welcome to the first podcast.
Take notes.
But the thing is, like, what are you not willing to lose while you're chasing your goal, which usually is financials? And, you know, a lot of times we go through life and we're chasing revenue. And it's like, cool. A lot of times we lose some friends, relationship with maybe our parents, maybe our health, whatever it is. And we never set that as an anti-goal so that we don't let that happen. And, you know, I mean, we're in high-level circles, right? You meet super wealthy people, you meet multi-millionaires, super big mansions, $10, $15 million mansions, all the cars you can think of. And that is the next level for us. And I would ask myself, would I want to be this person? Looking at the fact that they're lonely, their $10 million house is empty, there's no love. They treat their family like a business where their wife is like one of the operators, their kids are one of the employees. They keep spreadsheets on like the life. And it's because you're forced to rewire your brain to get to that level of business. And I don't want to lose the human touch of being human. You know, and that was one of my anti-goals that I said about a few years ago, that the next level is not worth me losing that side of me.
And so this brings me to my next point, right? And I've said this to you before. I think that you have wisdom. And your IG, it's very entrepreneurial, which is cool, right? But whenever I speak to you, I'm like, Amel, there's so much more depth there. Whereas oftentimes I work with a lot of influencers and it's very shallow, right? I feel like you got deep waters. And so for the listeners out there, what is some unique wisdom that you carry with you on your day-to-day that kind of propels you, right? Because even this thought of like anti-goals, that's wisdom. What is something that carries you daily?
There's a lot of them, man, because if you ask like what's the main wisdom, I'm the buildup of a lot of 1%. So the anti-goal is at 1%. It's not gonna change your life, but when you have 100 of those, that's what changes your life, and that's where the true wisdom comes from. I think the reason a lot of people are empty is because they didn't experience enough in life. And I get that everyone has a story. Like, you know, my dad was an alcoholic, my mom was never there, like I was in a car accident, my life, like people have these stories. But I think true wisdom comes from experiences in life. And I think one thing that we lack here is travel. I invest a lot of money in traveling. And everyone's like, bro, you're wasting your time. Why would you dump like 10K to go to Bosnia? Like, you went to Albania, what's the point of that? You went to Colombia, like, what's the point of that? And you see a whole bunch of books that you never read. I'm not talking about physical books. I'm talking about like life lessons that these different parts of the world encounter that we don't encounter here. And then you start noticing what knowledge we're missing here, what types of values we're missing here, and you learn from that. I learned a lot from Bosnians in Bosnia. You know, I would never know that social wealth is so important if I never went to Bosnia. I would never understand that a abundant mindset that America preaches, I would have never learned that if I never came to America. Maybe you hear stories, maybe you can read books, but it's different when you're not in that environment. So that's the first thing. But like true wisdom that like I still follow to this day, and you know I talked about this in a previous podcast, is the first one is picking your character. A lot of us tie too much into our identity. You know, I'm a nurse, I'm foreign, I'm never gonna speak well, and that becomes your identity. Or I'm a drug addict, I'm an alcoholic, I'm a studious person. We label ourselves. Sometimes we label ourselves, but usually what happens is other people label us. Like Amel's a good kid, and everything I do as that identity. And the question is, did you build that identity or did the environment do it for you?
Mm.
And I was respectable like before when I was like still a nurse. Like I had like almost straight A's. I was a nurse, nice paying job, committed relationship. Everything looked good, right? But that identity was kind of molded by my mom, people around me, because that's what they wanted me to be. I was like, hold up, I don't want to be that. I don't want to live a normal life. I want to experience life. I want to make a lot more money. I want to have freedom. I don't want to clock in and clock out. I want to live in downtown, even though it's more expensive, not financially the best decision. So I built this character. And the second thing that you have to truly do is put yourself in the environment where, for example, if you're looking to learn Spanish, the best way to learn Spanish is to go to a Spanish-speaking country, right?
True.
I took Spanish lessons for a year, and bro, like I know like 10%, and I really like try to learn it.
Yeah.
So your character and your environment is probably the biggest thing I can preach. I know it's not wisdom, but it's probably the most life-changing things that I did.
That's awesome. And so I want to come back to something you said when you made a reference to books and not like physical books, right? But you are working on a physical book,
Yeah.
right? And so what's your book about and what compelled you to want to write a book?
This is my third time attempting to write this book. I published my first book, and the second book, I really wanted like a credible book and something that, because the first one was like 150 pages, it was by a business and stuff like that. I wanted a book about life lessons and the stuff that like I learned throughout life, and I wanted this to be like a cheat code for people, and I would overthink it. And the reason I quit was, and I figured this out as I'm writing this third book, is I never set a deadline. So right now I started a book 2 days ago, and I have a deadline for 30 days. So in 30 days I need to finish it, publish it on Amazon, like go live. Because you know what happens? Whenever we have something that we're looking to aspire to, if the deadline is like too long, there's that voice in our head that's like, hey, why are you writing this book? You're wasting your time. No one's gonna read this book. You're not even an author, you're not even a writer, like you don't even speak English that well, like why are you writing a book? You should be investing your time on your business because there's better ROI. All these ideas come to my head, not ideas, but like voices. The thing is like the longer it takes you to finish that project, the longer that voice becomes true. So there's one thing that I follow is that speed suppresses any ideas that might hold you back. So if I outpace that negative voice, it won't catch up. And I'll have that deadline and I'll publish that book. And that second book, the title is Built Not Born. I don't think we're born into having the most beautiful life of freedom. I think we build it.
So I love that. And so you're dropping a lot of gems, right? And this is kind of like my last question is I see the way that you operate, right, with your family and with your interactions. And, you know, does faith play a role for you, right? Because, and I'll preface it by saying this, you come from a war-torn country where you saw the ugly side of faith, right? And does faith play a role? Like, what's your perception on that?
Being from what was Yugoslavia, it was a communist country, so you weren't allowed to practice religion, and you weren't allowed to have any other ideas other than what technically the leader in the government proposed on people. So our families weren't really allowed to practice religion, so it was never that big. Obviously, people still believed in God and like they still like believed in faith and so forth, but you know, I wasn't really raised religious, but I was raised to believe in certain principles, and I think religion is a set of principles, and I created my own principles in life, and one of them is that humanity is good, and I feel like that allows me to operate my business and the way I treat my clients and my relationships with friends and family and whatever in a nice and positive way. Because when you realize that people are good, you don't need reasons to not treat them well. There's a few levels that I treat every individual, which is on a human level, which to me, human level, you're good. Like, I appreciate you, I love you, we're good. And then there's on a friendship level, are you a good friend? So on the first level, like, I'm nice to the homeless guy and billionaire. I treat them equally. On the friendship side, it's like, are you doing enough for me to really value our relationship? Is it one way or is it two ways? If it's two ways, all right, we're good friends. And then there's also like on a business level, like, I love you, we're good friends, but are you doing your work well? If you're not doing your work, it's like, bro, I love you, but like, I can't keep you within the company. So those are like some like principles that I utilize when it comes to every relationship that I have. And I have 25 employees. There's many more people out there that aren't my like employees. So usually the first one is checked off. I don't have that many friends. I probably have like 100 friends. So like, I treat almost, what's the full population right now? 7 billion, 5 billion? I don't even know.
7 or 8 billion.
Yeah, so like all those people, like I put them at a good place. And I also attempt to always understand where they're coming from. People will do wrongdoings. They might screw you over. Maybe your wife yells at you. Maybe your kid says that you're the worst dad ever. But it comes from like a moment that is not that true. Right? So like, I think if you follow those principles, you'll live a happier life, not expecting too much from people and truly just appreciating them.
That's awesome. That's powerful. So is there any final thoughts, right? Because this is kind of built for people on their way to work, right? If you want something much longer format, hit up the Gentech podcast, 2-3 hours, right? So any final thoughts?
Just about life?
Just in general, final thoughts. Anything that, the listeners out there, I mean, most of my following is people from emerging economies, people that are looking to be entrepreneurs, or the entrepreneur that's looking for like what's next for him or her.
The biggest thing that I can like give people as a takeaway is that we're in full control. I say this a lot, and people always fight me on it. They say, I'm not in control because my government is corrupt and they're taking all my money, or I'm not in control because I have to work a job and I have to feed my family, or I'm not in control because the economy just crashed and stock market and I lost all my money and I have no money and I'm not in control. But you're in control, because at that moment you always have this decision: do I go this way or do I go that way? Do I let the stock market hold me back and never push through, or do I say, who gives a shit? I made that money one way, I'm gonna make it another way, and I'm gonna keep on pushing? Because those moments feel like our world is collapsing. Like literally that moment, there's life-changing moments where you feel like your world is collapsing. Doesn't matter if you lost your parent, your loved one, you lost all your money. But trust me, like in 3, 4, 5, 10 years, you don't even think about it. Like, it's so like back in the day that like life is so long that you can literally relive your life probably like 5 times, starting from 0 and then scaling back up. And I thought about this many times, like even like when I owned the Lambo, like I probably lost 80K on it because I literally bought it at the peak and I sold it at the worst time ever. And I was like, bro, I freaking lost 80K. I used to work like a whole year. Now I don't even think about it, bro. Like 80K, who gives a shit?
Yeah, things change.
So,
Things change. Well, bless you, brother. That was powerful. Amel Kielich, episode 1, Maybach Conversations.